Hi folks, Martin Lehner here from Orange Technology, and in this video I want to talk about the importance of checking and testing disaster recovery. So this is something that I've run into very often in the IT field. So I'll bring on a new client. Most times these new clients are existing organizations and businesses and groups, and they already have infrastructure in place. So we're brought in, we do an assessment, and one of the things we look at are backups. As you guys know, backups are one of the most important things to have running, especially when you're a third-party provider. It is expected that if something fails, a piece of hardware fails, whatever, that you have a backup, a working backup. That is essentially what we are paid for. We are paid to worry about things like that so that the clients don't have to. Now, in terms of backup, a lot of times these will be on either a tape drive, hopefully not, those are nasty, or it'll be on USB hard drive, removable USB hard drive, or it'll be backing up onto another hard drive within the same physical server. If you have a network attached storage, maybe it's in RAID, so it's mirroring. Perhaps again, it's backing up onto USB hard drive media, things like that. So regardless of what it is very important that you don't rely on simply having it. Even if there's logging and reporting that backups are successful, you actually have to try them out and give them a test and make sure that they actually work. Now, I ran into this with several clients. We had one client, they called us and they said, hey, we had a crash, we need to get our systems back up and running. And the IT provider we normally do is busy, they can't do it for a few weeks. A few weeks. And again, this is back to a previous video that I did about when there's an issue like this, you have to be there. You can't wait 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever to fix the issue, not in a circumstance like this. But anyways, so I went over there and I had a look, and they were backing up onto a USB hard drive, which actually I don't see very often. This is one of the only clients where I've seen a backup going to a USB hard drive, which is my personal preferred method. But this is one of the only times where I had seen it actually being used. So I thought, hey, great, it's probably not a big deal. They were using backup exec from Symantec. As far as the client knew, the backups were actually happening. So I brought the backup back into our lab and I tried to restore it. And what I found was I was not able to restore anything. For whatever reason, the backup images were corrupted. They didn't work. Every time I would try to do a restore, I would get to roughly about the halfway point, a few hours would pass, and then it would error out every single time. And that was extremely frustrating. That client lost quite a bit of data. Fortunately, they had a few things like their accounting files also on a USB stick. They were doing that proactively by themselves just in case, so that's really good. But they actually lost a lot of data. And so this is one of those things. They were paying a third party support provider to set up these backup systems and make sure they worked. And for all intents and purposes, they looked like they were working. They were reporting that that backups were happening and they were being successful, but nobody ever tried restoring from those backups. So just because something says, yes, the backup worked, it's all good, doesn't mean you can actually restore information off it. So this is huge, and this is part of, as an IT support provider, this is part of your overall policy on disaster recovery. So for us, what we do here at Orange is every 6 months, we take the latest backup of any systems that are backing up, and we try to do a restore here in our lab. So we pretend basically that the servers died, it got hit by a power spike, whatever, and we have to restore off of the backups. And then we create a report and we let our clients know how that went. So when we started the backup, when it actually was completed, whether it was successful, not successful, whether there was any data loss, whether it's all there, and we let them know. And that's really something you guys need to think about, is making sure that your clients are aware that you are performing these these mock runs within your lab or your office, and making sure that they work, so that if for some reason something ever happens and all of a sudden the backups aren't working or can't be restored from, they got corrupted or damaged or something, at least then your clients aren't sitting there wondering, well, did the backups ever work? Because they know that every 6 months you are making sure that they actually worked and that you could restore from them. So, if something happens where all that data is actually then gone, it's not necessarily all your fault, or they don't sit there and go, well, you never actually tried those backups, so maybe they never worked from day one. So yeah, so that's something you guys really need to think about. I want you guys to think about that, and incorporate that into your standard operating procedure, or whatever you've got for yourself and your clients. And yeah, make sure the backups work.